Tonight at 11, new fallout at the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office. The State Sheriff Association, responding to recent allegations.
If you believe I'm racist, you need to talk to me.
Plus, the aftermath of Helene. Now 6 weeks of devastation in the Carolinas. The new efforts to rebuild.
After record heat Friday afternoon, a cool down is coming, but it is going to be brief. What else expected as we head into your weekend? That's coming up.
Also, residents at one Charlotte motel scrambling for a place to stay. How those who went for help are now getting kicked out. And we take a look back at the key moments from the 2024 presidential election. I'm Nick Sturdivant, on air and streaming on WCNC Plus. The news starts right now.
News that impacts you. You're watching WCNC Charlotte News at 11.
Tonight, Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden responding to recent criticism surrounding his leadership at the department. That after a scathing resignation letter from his former chief deputy, Kevin Canty.
And who would they blame? They would blame the sheriff. Because it's an easy blame to blame the man at the top.
At a graduation ceremony to celebrate detention officer graduates Friday, Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden addressing what he called the elephant in the room.
My character and my integrity are being criticized. But let me assure you this, and you can ask anybody. If you believe I'm racist, you need to talk to me.
That response after former Chief Deputy Kevin Canty resigned earlier this month. In his resignation letter, Canty called Sheriff McFadden unprofessional and compared the way he runs his office to a third world dictatorship.
And I remember after Gary McFadden introduced me, he began to make disparaging comments to the command staff, to the majors and other people in there, such as, I know that you all think you're great, but you're not really great. Well, some of you are. And so that became a common theme.
The letter also included allegations of threats and the use of racist language. WCNC Charlotte obtained audio of the sheriff using that racist language.
That white captain, I don't know who that.
That's the elephant in the room. The reason that I cannot be racist, because I don't want anybody to go through what I go through since I was born into this world as a black man.
The North Carolina Sheriff's Association responding late Friday saying, quote, the comments made on the recording are inflammatory, racially derogatory, insulting, and offensive. The association believes sheriffs are and should continue to be held to the highest standards. The sheriff Friday ending his message to new graduates with this.
I wouldn't want this on anybody. But here's what I ask somebody. Would you trade my place now? Would you trade my skin for a day? Would you trade my skin for a day? Because see, this is where you are now. There are going to be people housed inside those detention centers that you're going to think very little of. Because somebody's going to tell you they're not worth it. They are worth it. They are worth it. They're worth it because they're someone's child. And you may be the very one person that can change their lives and put them on the right road. That's your job. That's your real job. One person.
And you can find our full coverage on this developing story right now inside the WCNC Charlotte mobile app. Scan the QR code right there on the bottom of your screen to download that today. Well, new tonight, federal transit leaders are sending more money to the Carolinas in wake of Hurricane Helene. Tonight, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says $43 million more have been made available. That's meant to help repair damage left behind by Helene. We're told more money will be released in the coming months. Also today, Governor Roy Cooper meeting with leaders across Western North Carolina. Today, the group explored what recent efforts are working and what needs improvement.
Being the Presbyterian elder that I am instructed to find good things out of bad. And the good things are the opportunities that we have to make things stronger. Water systems that needed replacing, roads that needed fixing, infrastructure that we know that we can tackle.
And Governor Cooper says it will end up costing about $53 billion to replace everything after the storm. Now time for a check of the forecast with meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees. Brittany, a warm day, 82 degrees outside. What can we expect tomorrow?
I would say it feels a lot nicer outside, both the temperature and the humidity. And Nick.
All right, thank you, Brittany. Right now, folks at a West Charlotte motel are scrambling for a place to stay. Back in July, we told you that the Lamplighter Inn was offering a transitional housing program. People who tried to use it say it never happened. Now they're being kicked out. WCNC Charlotte's Julia Kaufman reports.
Residents tell Charlotte, Julia Kaufman, WCNC Charlotte.
A wave of food recalls linked to outbreaks of salmonella or E. coli may have you on alert tonight. Recently, dozens of people were hospitalized and one person died after eating McDonald's Quarter Pounder hamburgers. Onions on those burgers were later found to be contaminated with E. coli. FDA data shows recalls have steadily increased in the last few years, but experts say that might be a good thing.
The majority of recalls are carried out voluntarily by the product manufacturer or distributor. But in some situations, the FDA can request or order a recall. FDA data shows in the past few years, there has been a roughly 20 to 25% increase in all recalls. The top categories with the most recalls are devices, drugs, and food/cosmetics. But FDA data also reveals this year the majority of food recalls were Class 1 recalls, meaning those food items pose the highest risk of severe illness or death. So what's behind the increase in recalls?
Well, there are more recalls from companies and there are more recalls earlier in the process, which is a good thing.
J.D. Hansen with the Center for Food Safety explains. Over the past 10 years, the FDA was given more authority to oversee and enforce supply chains, thanks in part to the passage that led to the companies issuing more recalls. But they're often smaller and more precautionary.
The last thing any responsible company wants to do is kill somebody.
While regulating processed foods presents its own challenges, Hansen says most recalls these days involve vegetables.
Meat is inspected every single day. Your vegetables aren't. So anytime you've got a vegetable product that's close to where meat is being grown, you've got a risk.
And Hansen says that's likely what happened to cause the recent McDonald's E. coli outbreak. The fast food giant confirmed in October the likely source of contamination was slivered onions grown by a farm in Colorado Springs.
We have some huge animal operations in places like Colorado. And onions themselves don't normally get E. coli unless they've been exposed to the waste of an animal that's sick.
And the CDC says about 1 in 6 Americans get sick from foodborne diseases each year, while more than 3,000 people died. Well, a long 2-year campaign for the White House came to an end this week. Next at 11, we look back at some of the key moments from Decision 2024.